What's up guys, my name is Spartan, and this is episode 38 of my Tour My Tower video series. This is a video series where I go through the ins and outs of my tower, show you guys the different moves that we're making, the different upgrades that we're doing, etc. And today I have a pretty exciting episode to report. We've got a lot to talk about. First and foremost, we are still farming tier 20, and the coins have been very, very profitable. Even despite kind of not really improving that much in terms of waves, the actual coins are really skyrocketing, that's good. That's a good problem to have. So more on that later. So let's go ahead and just check out the stats page. So a couple things. First and foremost, we have hit 2 years of playing the tower idle tower defense, which means we get the 2-year relic. So really cool. The 2-year relic, for those of you that are unaware, it gives you 2% extra crit factor, really good for the damage stuff. So I'm happy with that. But one thing you guys may notice right out the bat is we are completely drained on stones. So I've got a lot to show you guys with that. I had about 6,000 saved up, and I'm going to show you guys exactly where all of those stones went and kind of just explain why I spent the stones where I did. And spoiler alert, it's not what you think. So yeah, I just want to preface with that. But in terms of lifetime coins, we are at 9.52S lifetime coins. The econ, like I said, it's been getting much better. The recent coins per hour, just in the span of even the past week, it's gone from about 11 quintillion per hour to now averaging around 13. Really happy with that. Lifetime stones, we are at 182,000. Yeah, lifetime keys, we're at 1,114. And research is completed. We just hit 3K. We hit 3K pretty recently, so we're at 3,004K. In terms of milestones, I'll just scroll down so you guys can see that. We still do not yet have tier 24 unlocked, but don't worry, that is on the docket list. That's something I definitely want to continue to work towards, but we're just not quite there. You can see in terms of farming the coins, for double the wave amount that I was doing in tier 18, I'm basically getting comparable coins, like per run, right? But per hour, that's a totally different number. So this is kind of difficult to understand. The best way to really look is to check out the battle history and kind of check. But you can see averaging like 13 quintillion here. This is after I bought these stones for this month. So you can see prior to that, I had some that were pretty good. Then more so average was around 12. Then the week prior to that, more close to kind of 11. That's where we're at. We are making consistent progress, even despite kind of not really gaining as many waves, right? And that's a really good sweet spot to be at. And with that, let's go ahead and dive into the workshop. In terms of the workshop, obviously nothing has really changed with the physical workshop stats. We're pretty much in a good spot here. I think pretty soon I'm actually going to try locking the landmine radius. I'm thinking about doing that. I'm also thinking about respecking this farming setup and locking my bounce shot targets and my bounce shot range. I think I'm pretty close to trying that. I don't know if it's going to be good in tier 20 or not, but I am considering trying it. Another thing I kind of want to do at some point is just finish this out and just max out the enemy health level skips. I don't know. It's not really necessary. I get this max like within the first 300 waves of each farming run, but it would be nice to just gold box this. Moving on to the enhancements. This is where we're at. I have not really touched the attack enhancements as of late. I've really been prioritizing the utility and, more importantly, the orb size. I've been putting quite a bit into the orb size. This has been really good for making sure that I get as many orb hits as humanly possible. So you can see if I go down to where it says my orbs hit percentage, enemies hit by, so you can see the percentage of enemies hit by orbs is 70%. So killed with effect active, I'm getting 70% orb hit, which is really good. 93% of enemies are inside a black hole, which is really good. Obviously, the higher the better, but I think part of this is really just because I'm farming at a higher range than I ordinarily would. Golden Tower is 100% though, that is really good. It does not get any better than that. Death Wave 82, we've got some progress here. Spotlight, this will progressively get better as we continue to up the angle. But the main thing here is the orbs. The orbs really do make a pretty big difference. But yeah, so orb size has been a really big thing that I've been working on. And like I said, The more recent development is I recently maxed out my enemy level skip enhancements. It has 60 total levels, and we ended up fully maxing it. So very, very happy with that. And now what I'm basically doing is just trying to pump up my cells and my coins. Likewise, I'm trying to kind of keep the free upgrade and the cells at a 1-to-1 ratio in terms of the cost per level. It's taking a little bit of time, sure, but you can see if I do 3 levels here, that will basically get me to the point where I would be at the same cost per level here. So we'll continue to work on this and just bring these 3 up. The rest of this, though, is pretty good. And now let's go ahead and look at the ultimate weapons. So I will show you guys, this is everything I have spent stones on this month for my ultimate weapons. And I know you guys were thinking I would just go into smart missiles. I really wanted to, admittedly, but it's just not a good idea, at least not yet. Maybe I will regret it in the months to come. If we get some kind of buff to smart missiles, we'll see. But as it stands currently, it just doesn't make any sense whatsoever to do. So I did put 1 click into smart missile damage. That's all I did this month. It cost me like 500 some odd stones, and that's what we did. In terms of the rest of the stuff, I put another click into chain lightning damage, and the most recent development, I unlocked Smite. So I unlocked Smite. I think Smite is actually going to be pretty beneficial, especially as I continue to develop it, because it is percent health damage. And contrary to what a lot of people think, percent health damage is not just applicable to EHP builds. It's also equally, if not more important for damage focused builds, right? Because your damage can only take you so far, especially in tournaments. So having percent health damage stuff in your build, it's going to be a really good idea. So this is something I ran into during my more recent tournaments, because if you guys remember from last episode, we went really, really ham on the inner landmines. We got inner landmines level 6. We got a lot of damage from inner landmines. Like, we were doing the thing. And what I was doing was I was basically putting anti-cube portal and space displacer in the assist, which was fine. The issue is I had nothing really scaling as the run progressed. And again, this is mostly relevant for tournaments, but I have found that orbital augment for me has performed a lot better in the assist category because of the percent health damage, dealing 15% of the remaining enemy health damage. Obviously, remaining health is not as good necessarily as like total HP or wave health, but this is still really, really good. And this allows me to scale as my Legends runs, as the waves exceed, 2,000, 2,100, 2,200, because at that point, your actual tower damage really does start to kind of fall off. So you need some other percent health damage to kind of make up the difference. So I have found that I gain about somewhere between 200 to 300 waves when I use orbital augment in my tournaments versus my space displacer. But in terms of the rest of the stone spending, I didn't put anything else into any of this stuff. What I did was I actually put the rest of my stones into a couple of other things that we'll talk about as we progress. But that is ultimate weapons in the workshop. Let's go ahead and talk about the cards. So you guys can see we recently got another card slot, which allowed me for my farming setup to basically put in the health card. And, it's something, it's not really that big of a deal, but this is mostly for the sake of tournaments, to be brutally honest. But 27 card slots, that's where we're at currently. We're in a pretty good spot. But the most recent development that I got, and this will be evident today when I do my tournament live stream, we recently got Area of Effect Mastery. So you can see I'm currently labbing that as we speak. I'm going to level 7 as we speak currently. I think this is going to be a really good improvement. I really do. Not for farming. Obviously, I'm not using this for farming. It will pretty much screw over my econ in terms of my tier 20 strategy, which, by the way, I made a video covering my tier 20 strategy if you guys want to go check it out. It is a pretty advanced build. I know that video, it did pretty well. A lot of people seem to enjoy it. If nothing else, it can kind of give you an idea of like what proper tier 20 farming could look like. There's some stuff in that video that's a little bit unconventional. I would encourage you, if you're stuck in tier 18, maybe tier 19 farming and you can't quite make tier 20 work, go check out that video. Maybe it can help you out. Area of Effect, this is going to be really interesting to see how effective this is, no pun intended, for my tournament runs. So I'm pretty excited. And moving on to modules, we now have everything at least level 201, which is perfect. That is what we need, right? That's why I initially said that I was excited about jumping to tier 20 farming, because it would allow us to get more module shards. And really quickly, before we talk more about the modules, I do want to talk about specifically the module levels. So I addressed this in my tier 20 farming setup video. I basically had mentioned, you know, going from tier 18 to tier 20, I was seeing a pretty massive improvement of module shards. What I neglected to do was kind of explain why that is the case. I'm going to do that right now in this video and probably make a more dedicated video for the people that don't watch this video. But basically the rationale behind it is, if you guys are unaware, fleet enemies actually give you not only reroll shards, but they also have a 20% chance to give you module shards. And the amount of module shards goes up per tier. At tier 14, it starts at 5 module shards per fleet. And then up to tier 21, you get 12 per fleet. So yeah, that's the deal, right? So going from tier 18, you're getting 9 module shards per fleet. And then up to tier 20, you get 11. So that's 2 extra module shards per fleet. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but when you factor in the fleet spawns also ascending, meaning the higher the tier, the more frequently you will encounter fleets, you will see a pretty massive improvement. So that's kind of the rationale. But yeah, I just wanted to briefly discuss that. But that is why tier 20 has become kind of my gamble. It was a calculated gamble, right? Because at the time, tier 18 was a lot better in terms of just sheer coin econ. But even despite taking a slight coin decrease with tier 20 farming and lower cells, the difference from the module shards allowed me to increase these levels to a point where I was not only breaking even, but now I am doing way better than I was before. And that is because of that difference in module shards. So that is where the kind of rationale comes. And you can find this information on the wiki. It is the Tower Idle Tower Defense fandom.com. You can go to the fleet rewards, or you can just type in like fleet enemies, the tower, and you should find the information there. But yeah, the section I'm looking at is the fleet rewards. It tells you all the way from tier 14 to currently tier 21. I'm sure at some point this will be updated through tier 24 as well. That is where we are at. In terms of what I did with the rest of my stones, I put a few levels into the multiplier efficiency for the generator. Again, just kind of playing for the econ, right? Trying to improve the econ. This is the gamble. I want to eventually raise this as high as humanly possible and then switch my levels up. Once I get this above 100%, at that point, I will then re-level my primary and put more levels into my assist. But obviously we're only at 65, so we have a ways to go before that becomes the play. But that's kind of what we're doing for the time being. And with that, that's going to wrap up the modules. Let's go ahead and talk about the lab upgrades. So within the labs, like I said, we're currently working on Area of Effect Mastery. What I've been doing is kind of just gem rushing occasionally when it makes sense. Like right now, I have a whole bunch of gems, so I'll just do like 2 levels pretty quickly. Honestly, I'm just going to finish this. Why not? I have nothing else to spend gems on, so I can afford to do this. Do not do this if you still have modules to buy, if you still have card slots to buy, etc. I can afford to do this because I'm not really at that state, right? But what I'm going to put in the meantime is I'm just going to put in the core substat efficiency, I think. Try to work a little bit more towards that, and that should be pretty good. But what we're currently working on, we have basically exhausted most of our super expensive labs. I'll show you guys if I just scroll all the way up to the top here. You can see the Dissident Echo labs. These are very expensive. So it's gotten to the point where I'm getting diminishing returns. 76 days to finish level 18, 72 days to finish level 17 for both of these. So it's just no longer really practical for me to work on these versus doing something that's a little bit lower coin cost and lower time, such as these module labs. That's what we're currently doing, and I'm bringing up my coins per kill enhancement bonus, and eventually we will obviously come back to these dissonant labs, but for the time being, we're at a pretty good spot. But what we're working on, we have lab 1 doing core substat efficiency. I want to just max this out entirely. And honestly, most of these that I have in here, I want to just fully max out. The generator bonus, again, super important. The coin discount for the enhancements, this is going to become exceedingly important as well. And yeah, all of these are just super good. But like I said, I'm at a position right now where most everything else that I would have to upgrade, I don't really need to, you know? My attack research, like, yes, getting some more super crit would be great. Getting a little bit more rend armor multiplier would be great, but it's just not a huge priority at the moment. And with that, that is going to wrap up the labs. Let's go ahead and talk about the tournaments. So we are currently in a tournament right now. We have not done it yet because I'm going to stream this later today, but I think I should get rank 4. If I play my cards right, I should get rank 4. We'll see. These battle conditions kind of suck. Basic ultimate, fast ultimate, and ultimate weapon duration. Not a good time, but I think it's going to be okay. Let me just show you guys the history so you guys can see. We recently got an all-time personal best of 2,516 waves. We did unfortunately only finish at rank 5, but the point is, you can see the steady improvement of wave count. That is what we need to see. That is what we are striving to kind of work towards. Because bracket RNG, yeah, you'll have some where you do really well, but then you'll have some where you do not so well. Even sometimes with comparable waves. Look at that. I got less waves here and got rank 1 than I did here and got rank 11. So bracket RNG is a thing. I totally get it. That's why my main metric I look at with tournament progression is I really want to look at the wave count per run that I'm doing. That's how I'm able to kind of tell, am I actually making progress? Because as these wave counts improve over the course of time, obviously your rank will also improve. That's just the way that it works. Along with that, we have the vault. The most recent thing that I purchased here was I got in the power tree. I did finish the entire all the way up to the top. So I got the last bot range here, the last ultimate weapon damage. I got the extra orb right here. And then I decided to basically jump back here and get the additional card slot. So we got this additional card slot here. There's only one more card slot we can get. And I might get this in the future just to put like health regen in my farming setup. But honestly, I think I don't really need the last card slot. Like, I can't really think of what I would possibly put in there. That's going to cover it for the vault and the tournaments. Let's go ahead and talk about the bots. I want to show you guys my bots really quick. This is what we got going on for my farming setup. I've got a 1-to-1 ratio with my basically golden bot and bot entirely, including the bonus cells and the maximum power. I'm not as concerned with the echoing shot for my farming setup. It's just I don't have the available metals to deck out my amplify bot and the rest of these. So for my farming preset, because I do have bot presets, you can see, my main priority is just decking out my golden bot and my bot. So I'm trying to keep the durations at a 1-to-1. All 3 of these cooldown bonus and range maxed on both bots, and trying to keep the maximum power and the bonus cells at a 1-to-1 as well. This has been pretty good overall. In terms of my tournament setup, I'll show you guys, this is what I have going on right now. Pretty good overall setup here. I am going to continue to try to just max out the range for the bot. And I have been putting quite a bit into echoing shot as well. So we currently have quantity 9 for echoing shot. But yeah, that's going to cover it for the bots. Last but not least, let's cover the guild content. Shout out to This is Sparta. You guys have all been killing it. Every single one of you. There's not even anybody down here that sucks. You guys have all been killing it. So good stuff. In terms of the guardians, this is what my summon currently looks like. It's really, really good. I don't really see myself putting more into this. Kind of similar thing with Fetch. Fetch is in a good enough spot to get all of my daily caps. So what I've been doing with my excess bits as I get them is I'm basically just trying to build up Scout. I use this mostly for tournaments. It's been overall pretty good. And with that, that is basically going to cover the content of today's video. I can't really think of anything else that we have to talk about today. But yeah, this is what we got going on. I've got a tournament to do a little bit later on, but here are my coin multipliers for tier 20 if you guys are curious about that. We're very close to 200,000 times, which is absolutely huge. Obviously, most of this is coming from the dissonant coin bonus from the lab, but the enhancement is also playing a pretty big factor. The module levels are also playing a very big factor. Again, module shards are very, very good. So even if you are as little as like tier 14 farming, maybe jumping up to tier 15, even getting slightly lower coins would be good just for the module shards. I don't know. But module levels are very, very important, so don't try to slack on that. Just take my word for it. They're really, really good. Anyway, guys, I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, do me a huge favor and consider throwing a like on the video. It really does help me out, and drop a comment down below as well. It helps YouTube basically tell other people, hey, you liked this video, so maybe we'll show this video to somebody else. So I always appreciate it, and if you're new here, do me a favor and consider subscribing. And if you guys purchase anything for the tower, whether it be through the in-game app or the web store, please consider using my content creator code 300. Thank you guys so much for the love and support. I really appreciate it. And as always, thank you so much for watching. And like always, I will see you guys later.